This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. The holidays mean more travel, more shopping, more time online, and more personal info in places that could expose you to identity theft. That's why LifeLock monitors millions of data points every second. If your identity is stolen, their US-based restoration specialist will fix it, guaranteed or your money back. Get more holiday fun and less holiday worry with LifeLock. Save up to 40% your first year. Visit LifeLock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
A common sense recap of the day's biggest stories. It's John Catsimatidis and Rita Cosby. Katz and Cosby on 77 WABC.
Well, joining us now is Brent Sadler. He is with the Heritage Foundation, a 26-year Navy career also. Brent, great to have you here on Katz and Cosby. This is Rita Cosby. Brent, first off, let's go right to everything that's happening, especially with Russia and Ukraine. It looks like lots of Russian attacks on the power grid. We were just talking about cyber and all this other stuff potentially hitting power and everything else. We know the Russians were targeting, in this case, physically targeting lots of the power grid, and there's a lot of people in Ukraine that are freezing right now. Where do you see all of this headed now, given especially the fact President Trump is coming in 25 days?
Yeah, no, well, thanks for having me on, and hope everyone had a Merry Christmas as we look towards the new year. But unfortunately, this war in Ukraine is probably going to get a little bit more violent before it gets to a point to where it can get settled. I mean, both sides see President Trump coming in and understanding that he's proven in the past he's able to take it and willing to take it to the next level if both sides aren't willing to negotiate in a conflict. And so I think there's some urgency. And so what you're seeing on both Kiev's part and Moscow's part is to try to make sure they have the strongest position going into a negotiated truce. I'm not sure they'll be able to get the war resolved, but certainly stop the killing. That seems to be the number one objective of the next administration. But these attacks on the power grids, this is par for the course. This is the third winter that we've seen this.
Ed Cox here, Brent. You served as a military diplomat in Asia, and
Yes.
Interesting things are happening in South Korea. How much influence do you think the Chinese have with respect to our supposedly close ally, South Korea?
Well, it's no secret. The Chinese, they have, a united front work, which goes back to the days when they were fighting a civil war, where their intent is, like a fifth column, to infiltrate and to sow discord and start to win over turncoats in an adversary's government. And so the Chinese have done this throughout the region. They did it in South Korea, but if you look back maybe about 8 years or so, the United States government was trying to put a THAAD anti-missile battery in South Korea. This was viewed by the South Koreans as defense against rockets and North Korean provocations. You know, that peaked in the early part of Trump's administration, and things turned well, but the Chinese overplayed their hand. They leaned on the politicians there in Seoul, and a lot of Koreans for the first time started to see the Chinese not interested in unifying their divided country and also not willing to take an interest in their own self-defense of Koreans for Korean self-defense. And so
Brett,
a lot of that's been weakened.
Brett, some of my intelligence sources say that in the next few hours, tomorrow morning Korean time, that they're going to try to overthrow the democracy and have a dictatorship.
That would be really challenging. I mean, we had the current president declare martial law, which really, I mean, it failed. But it also, I think, didn't really take into account that there's still a lot of very raw memories by Koreans that witnessed the military dictatorship fall largely by people power in the late 80s, and really no one, conservative, liberal, none of the political parties and the majority of the Korean people want to see a return to that. And I think they don't draw a distinction between someone that's acting on behalf of China or the North Koreans as any different.
I guess we'll know by the weekend.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say?
No, I just hope everyone has a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It's been a challenging 24. But
thank you. We'll catch up soon.
Yeah, thank you, Brent, very much.
When you visit Arizona, time is measured in moments, not minutes.
Like the moment your work stress disappears as you kayak through the canyons. Or the moment you discover the life-changing effects of prickly pear chocolate. But nothing beats the moment you see the Grand Canyon for the very first time. Visit a new state of mind. Learn more at hereyouareaz.com.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge, from worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.